Comic books were first popularized in the United States during the 1930s. The term comic book derives from American comic books being a compilation of comic strips of a humorous tone. One of the first noted critics of the comic book industry came from an excerpt from A National Disgrace editorial published in the Chicago Daily News on May 8, 1940 by Sterling North. Dr. Fredric Wertham, German-born American, was a psychiatrist and crusading author who protested the supposedly harmful effects of violent imagery in mass media and comic books and the development of children. In 1948, Wertham came out against comic books publicly in an interview in Collier's magazine titled Horror in the Nursery. Wertham stated that in his studies with children, he found comic books to be a major cause of juvenile delinquency. In his book, Seduction of the Innocent, Wertham described overt or covert depictions of violence, sex, drug use, and other adult content within crime comics. Wertham asserted that reading this material encouraged similar behavior in children. In response to the public outcry, comics were put on trial by the United States government in 1954 by the Senate Judiciary Committee's subcommittee to investigate juvenile delinquency. Over the course of 2 days, senators heard testimony from child psychologists, comic book publishers, and cartoonists seeking insight into whether comics required government regulation. Similar to other media, before the Comics Magazine Association of America was established and the Comics Code Authority was born in 1954 as an alternative to government regulation. The code allowed comic publishers to self-regulate the content of comic books according to the Comics Code. It prohibited the presentation of policemen, judges, government officials, and respected institutions in such a way as to create a disrespect for established authority, and added the requirements that in every instant, good shall triumph over evil. Comics were submitted and screened, receiving authorization of the use of Comics Code Authority seal if it was in compliance. While the CCA had no official capacity over the publishers, many distributors wouldn't carry any comics that did not have the seal. The Senate subcommittee hearings, the Comics Code, and the numerous laws regulating the sale of comics that followed combined to form the most brutal era of censorship stemming from a moral panic that American pop culture has ever known. By the 200s, advertisers no longer made decisions to advertise based on the appearance of the stamp. DC Comics, Marvel Comics, and other CCA sponsors began publishing comics intended for adult audience without the CCA seal. By 2001, new publishers were bypassing the CCA, and Marvel Comics made the decision to abandon it altogether. In 2010, Bongo Comics broke away from the CCA, but it wasn't until 2011 when DC and Archie rendered the code obsolete. When research materials for Seduction of the Innocent became available in 2010, and Carol Tilley, assistant professor at the Graduate School of Library and Information Science at the University of Illinois, began an investigation of Wertham's research, Tilley found Wertham's conclusions to be largely baseless. Wertham manipulated, overstated, compromised, and fabricated evidence, especially that evidence he attributed to personal clinical research with young people for rhetorical gain, said Tilley.